Hi everyone, welcome to the vlog. I'm excited to show you how my first week of my final year of medical school went. I know it's been a while since I last posted and I'm currently actually on week 7 of my final year, but I've only just had a chance to edit the footage and I'm sure you'll still find it really insightful. My very first placement of final year is a geriatrics placement, and I drove to hospital feeling very optimistic and excited about the year to come. As it's the very first day back, I'm walking to the education centre where we're going to have an induction lecture where they tell us what's expected from the placement and what competencies we need to complete to pass the placement. Then we all headed to our wards to have a one-to-one meeting with our specific placement supervisor where we further discussed our placement objectives. I of course didn't have any breakfast, so I was trying to quickly eat this oat bar in the staff room before it was time to meet my supervisor on the ward. He was really nice and welcoming and asked me to join him on his ward round before having our meeting. After this, we were told to go to the library and get our IT login sorted because as final years we're meant to be doing the same work as foundation doctors and we're given the same access as them to the hospital's electronic system except the ability to prescribe. It was a short day and after completing my IT training I was done at about 2 o'clock. In the evening I went to the Trafford Centre near my house to collect some parcels that I ordered a few days earlier. The next morning I arrived bright and early with my little coffee so that I can prep patients for the ward round before my consultant arrives at 9 AM. This basically means preparing an up-to-date document for the ward round with details about how the patient is doing, their current management, most recent bloods and medications, and it's done every day by the junior doctors before we go to see the patient on the ward round. I then went to see all of the patients that I prepped with my consultant, examined them, updated their notes, and with the consultant formulated a management plan for them. Straight after the ward round we had MDT, which is a meeting where all of the healthcare professionals on the ward update each other on how each of the patients are doing. Time flew by so quickly. By the time MDT had finished it was around 12:45 and I went to the canteen to eat my lunch. I brought a kebab sandwich and some fruit and I spent lunch with my friend Manahil, who is on an anaesthetics placement. After lunch I went back onto my ward and helped out with the ward jobs from the ward round. I took bloods from a few patients, put in a cannula and did an ECG. At 5 PM we had some teaching to help with the transition to foundation year. It was optional but it sounded extremely helpful, so my friends and I decided to go, plus we were told we'd get snacks. The session ended at around 7:15 in the evening and this was genuinely the longest day I've ever had on placement. By the time I got home it was past 8 o'clock. At about 10 o'clock that night I went to pick up this OSCE Cases with Mark Schemes book from a random person that was selling it on Facebook Marketplace. I've heard loads of good things about this book. He was also selling some SBA question books for quite cheap, so I thought I'd buy them too. Day 3 I start again with my little coffee on the way to hospital. I know it looks bright but it's actually freezing and I had my heater on full blast in the car, so by the time I actually arrive the coffee is no longer iced coffee. Again in the morning I prep patients and then I see them on the ward round, present them in the MDT, and before I know it it's lunchtime already. Today I brought tuna salad. I told myself I'd try my best to make my own lunches this year because I spend so much money on buying lunches every day. Then after doing some more jobs in the afternoon it's time to go home. I get home around 5:30 and the first thing I do is change into my pyjamas. Who else changes into their pyjamas as soon as they get home? Is it normal to be in your pyjamas at 5:30? I don't know. And then I lie in bed and watch TikToks for like half an hour. And as time goes on, whilst I watch TikToks, I become fully submerged in the bed and almost fall asleep. I finally muster the courage to get out of bed and I decide to cook a vegetable curry. It may look weird but it actually tastes delicious and I eat it with a roti, which basically just means flatbread. Here you can see it trying to slide off my plate. After eating, I sit down to edit my Manchester Q&A video and then I spend the rest of my evening just doing some studying. On day 4, I run out of little coffee, so my breakfast is a banana. Sadly, however, seconds after I recorded that clip, my breakfast fell on the floor. I did pick it up, I promise. This morning, instead of going on the ward, we all had teaching on taking blood cultures. This is when you take blood in a very specific and sterile way so that the sample can be grown in a lab to find out whether or not the patient has any bacteria in their blood. So the method is quite different to taking normal bloods. It lasted all morning and then Manahil and I went to get some lunch. After only 2 days of making my own lunch, I was too tired to make it last night, and so I bought some lunch from the hospital canteen. This chocolate fudge cake was calling my name, so I definitely had to get some, as well as a jacket potato. After lunch, I spent the afternoon helping out with ward jobs as usual and headed home. I was really enjoying being on one ward every day instead of all over the place like we sometimes are, because it quickly starts to feel really homely. On the way home, I stopped to pick up a parcel from my corner shop, and I just spent the evening doing some studying. Friday was my private study day, so I didn't have to go in. I forgot to record myself making breakfast, but I basically made this egg muffin which tastes exactly like the McDonald's egg muffin. Just boil and slice 2 eggs, put them in a little breakfast muffin with a cheese slice and warm it in the microwave. Before studying, I decided to go to the gym because I hadn't been all week. I really need to work on my hamstrings, so I started off with some lying leg curls. I forgot to bring my tripod, so I miserably failed at trying to record myself. And then I moved on to the hip abductor. Then I decided to quickly visit the Tesco by the gym to buy some protein bars. Having just come out the gym, I decided to take the stairs instead of the escalator whilst this motivation lasts. I was very tempted by the Krispy Kreme counter, but I controlled myself, picked up what I needed and drove home. After changing, I spent most of the rest of the day studying, and I also started filling out my application for foundation jobs. The deadline for this was the following Wednesday. And that is how my first week of final year went. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it's been somewhat insightful. If it has, please give the video a like and do also consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.